Sure. We've been seeing increasingly more and more people that are jumping into the light lager scene. And I know Rhinegeist is doing that right now with Cincy Light. Can you talk to us a little bit about just stylistically what that beer is, kind of what your hopes and goals are for that brand, and some things like that?
Yeah, I mean the style's pretty straightforward. There's three big players that have been making it for 150 years, and it's 4.2%, 95 to 125 calories, and it's light, it's crushable, very very low hop character, and it is beer that tastes like beer, right?
Yeah.
It's what most people. It's their first beer experience.
What do you think the challenge is as a craft brewery trying to break into that side of it? Because, it still is, even though Rhinegeist is a large player on the craft side, a regional brewery, the difference in scale between a Bud Miller Coors is still, it's still wild. It's still two different games. And you start getting into like a price point discussion as well, right? Because we as craft brewers are used to selling in this ultra premium market, right? And so people are willing to pay high for that. But there's going to be challenges where you're making a beer that is comparable or better, whatever it is. But I mean, you're making that beer style, and you can't necessarily always expect to still be charging what you're charging for your Super Supreme 4-packs of high gravity adjunct beer and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on kind of cracking into that market and some of the challenges?
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's quality, right? You can't hide anything in that beer. If the fermentation's off, if your raw materials aren't of a certain quality, if your process isn't of a certain quality, it's going to show. A lot of craft beer styles, especially your smoothie sours and pastry stouts and triple IPAs, you can throw so much flavor at them that a lot of flaws can be hidden and covered up.
Sure.
Light lager, you're not hiding anything. So it's really hard to make a beer, again, as good and as consistent as the big brewers that have been doing it for 150 years.
Sure.
But it's possible. So once you have that, okay, then you're reaching out to a new consumer, right? You're reaching out to somebody that's been drinking Bud Light or Coors Light their whole life, and saying, hey, try this. Why? I'm perfectly happy with the one I've been drinking. Why bother? So you've got to find a way to appeal to that consumer. It starts with price, right? They're not going to pay a penny more for something that's as good. Okay, fine. You make a nice light beer. It's just as good as the one I've been drinking. Why would I pay more for it? Which is why historically craft has had such a hard time cracking the light beer category. So you've got to find, let's match price. Let's line price with domestic. Still, why would I drink that? So you've got to appeal to them in some way that says, no, we've got a story that you care about. We've got a reason for you to drink this versus that. That could be a heritage brand. That, oh, my granddad drank that, or my great granddad drank that. I've heard of that old beer style. That's cool. That's really cool. It's coming back. And you saw that in craft, for the last few years. Obviously Christian Moorline with Hootie and Little Kings. They're the local legends for that, right? They're keeping those beer styles alive. And I'm super excited to see what's going to happen in new hands for those brands. I think it's going to be great. But even in Indiana, Upland was doing Champagne Velvet, right? You kind of got some of these heritage brands coming back. So there's an angle there. Cincy Light for us is taking advantage of the NIL, which is the name, image, likeness, where players are allowed to make money in college, because universities are making a lot of money off of them and the sports they play and how well they do. So that just became legal but a decade ago, but didn't really become relevant until the last couple of years. And you're seeing all these different universities sign up with all these different beers coming out, and so that is what I think the reason to buy for Cincy Light is. Okay, you're into light lager. You want to tailgate with light lager. You want something crushable and tasty, tastes like beer. Gotcha. Cool. You're in Cincinnati. You want to support UC. Guess what? Buy Cincy Light. You're supporting UC. There's proportion of proceeds that goes to every single case that gets sold, and so it's finding a way to just appeal to that consumer and kind of get top of mind. And that's been huge for us. Like, we didn't know how to get in with light beer. Like, we had Cheetah, which is a nice craft lager, 5%. Got a gold at the World Beer Cup this year.
I was about to say, if you didn't say it,
great lager, right? One of the best in the world.
Yeah.
So, but it was still doing just okay, right? Because we were still targeting craft consumers, and it wasn't the light lager consumer. But Cincy Light's been able to appeal. It's been massive for us. We're struggling to keep up with demand. It's the biggest new brand launch we've ever had, which is crazy, and certainly unexpected. Going into the year, it wasn't in the plan. The opportunity didn't present itself until the spring. So we kind of fast tracked and just moved as quickly as we could to get ready for football season. And it all kind of came together from a branding perspective and a liquid perspective. And now we're out, and we're trying to get out to the market as fast as possible. And it's been fantastic.
That's awesome, man.